and welcome back to the Nexus Gaming series, where we're about to see if Lightly Salted can shake off what happened in their first series, getting 2-0'd by Team Skyark, and get some wins here in their match versus Spicy Boys. I am joined again by Tyro. Tyro, how excited are you for this matchup right now?
I'm very excited. We are going to a map that my team bans every single match.
Cursed Hollow, which, I mean, honestly, we don't see it played that much anymore in favor of some of the smaller maps in the rotation pool right now. So I'm really excited that we're going to come and we're going to see some teams try to grab some tributes here.
Yeah, so my team loves the size of this map. We play a very heavy micro composition, but the way the objectives are set up in this and where they spawn can be so advantageous to one team that you can lose on chance, it seems. So this is a map that we usually choose to avoid. However, seeing it picked up here by Spicy Boys, I kind of hope I see a Vikings, honestly. I love the Vikings.
Vikings would be great here. It would definitely be a treat for sure. But for drafts right now, Lightly Salted, sticking with that Azmodan ban that we saw so much. Actually, they picked up Azmodan in the second series, banned it in their first, so par for the course there. And then Jimmy Right-Click Rainer being taken out of the picture altogether. Phoenix going to follow.
Yeah, some very heavy meta bans. I mean, maybe other than the Asmo, but it seems to be a pretty large fear in the NGS facing that Asmodan.
He's a scary. Have you looked at him? He's kind of scary looking.
Dude, he's got a mouth and a stomach.
I mean, so does Stitches. We should just ban heroes who have like body parts where they should not be. Is really
Yes,
the meta that I think will shift. White Main Bang coming out from Spicy Boys. The High Inquisitor, too spicy for their liking. And one not so spicy, Deckard Cain being locked in for Lightly Salted here.
It's kind of surprising to me, especially with their favoritism towards that Lucio. And having Lucio's speed on a map this size can definitely be advantageous, but choosing the Deckard, I respect the change.
Yeah, choosing the Deckard, but we have a Garrosh Sylvanas in response to that. Very early Sylvanas pickup here for Spicy Boys, which I suppose is their flavor of spice that they're opting to bring in to this game number one.
Yeah, it's definitely a surprising early pick because she's so squishy. If you pick up a dive onto her, it's so hard to keep her alive. And there it is, the Gray Mane. He's going to be looking just to delete her every single fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And given that a lot of her, I think, perceived benefit was removed from her kit once you couldn't target towers, or not that you couldn't target towers, but only your auto attack disables towers now. Much less likely to have her be the pickup there, if at all. The ETC ban is interesting. I suppose...
I can respect it.
Yeah.
If you land a good mosh on top of a Hanzo, what's the Dragon Strike, it can be absolutely devastating taking the full damage from a Dragon Strike.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if we saw that be the pick, given that it's not the most common, but it comes out every once in a while, and it would be a really fun follow-up if it were to land. But yeah, what does this leave then for warrior choices for Lightly Salted? We're getting another interesting pick with that Ariel, though, for Spicy Boys.
So as for Salted, I kind of expected Joanna. We saw both matches against Archetype. It seems that and they go with the Murden.
He's short, but he's stocky, and he can really land a punch onto you if you're too close. So Murden, That good dwarf boy coming in for Lightly Salted. Sonya coming in for the offlane push potential for Lightly Salted. So who's the assassin here? Who's the battery
They've
for
got to
Ariel?
take a mage.
Is it
Ariel has no battery as of now. They got to take a mage. And it's going to be Tychus. I can respect that. And it's good against Sonya. It's good against the Muradin. But right now, I'm really digging Slightly Salted's dedication to the obvious 1-3-1, taking the Greymane, taking the Sonya, and just saying we're going to outlane you no matter what.
Yeah, there's some unknowns that are there for me on the side of Spicy Boys, and it's obvious with the Dahaka pickup that Sylvana's going to be in either the 3 or the 4 rotation there, which is really where she belongs. But is it going to be really the power that they need? And is this a composition that can really win over these objective fights over the Tribute? I don't think they do early game. They might be able to make it work the later this game goes, but I don't think it's going to be easy for them.
Honestly, I'm really liking what Slightly Salted's doing. They have this super early game advantage with the Greymane, with the Sonya, and come into late game, Hanzo really becomes a factor, and so does Deckard. And they've kind of set themselves up in a position that if they play their fights right, I expect them to win this game. Tychus does do a lot of damage, especially to that Muradin, but there's so much explosion that if Ariel doesn't make that clutch heal, you're just going to see members of Spicy Boys get deleted by this composition that just has so much damage.
Right, and that's why a lot of folks, that's why Ariel, isn't the most common, is that the healing can just be so inconsistent, and once it's spent, you potentially have quite a bit of time before you build up enough hope to heal anyone before the damage is coming out from that Greymane, from that Hanzo. I'm terrified specifically because of that Greymane, like you mentioned. So I don't think it's impossible, but it is not going to be easy here in game number 1. But let's take a look in the blue. We're going to have Lightly Salted. We're going to have Wafflecopter on the Hanzo. Absolute Yoda playing the Deckard Cain. We're going to have Arch Valley playing the Greymane. Delta on the Muradin, and Resonance will be coming up playing that Sonya.
10 seconds.
And for Spicy Boys in the red, we do have Artanis playing Tychus. That's an odd one. Sneezy playing Dahaka. Red Air playing Sylvanas. Wolfrain playing Garrosh. And Usatst playing Ariel.
We immediately see that Sylvanas just gonna barrel right toward the bottom lane. I wonder how much Red Air is going to commit to being that split push pressure in the bottom. Because again, with a lot of her range neutralized a bit, and some of the other changes recently, not the strongest that she was, but Hanzo is the focus here in this mid fight, being the first to fall in the death brawl here in the mid lane. Delta got really low as well, but being able to use that third wind heal up just a bit more.
Yeah, we talked about the clutch heals coming in from the Ariel, but she definitely got a clutch stun on that Hanzo, securing him in place and getting that free kill.
Yeah, and I think whenever I talk to people who love playing Ariel, it is the conceit of the heals are going to be hard, but if I can get a stun in, then there's no damage coming out onto my team. This should be okay. Red Air, though, in the bot lane, tried to be cheeky and use the Shadow to escape there, but Arch Valley absolutely dominating with Greymane there, being able to secure the kill.
Yeah, this is what I feared, and Slightly Salty played this beautifully, keeping Greymane in the middle until they saw where that Sylvanas was, and then just rotating him at her. That's about as good as you can play it.
Yeah, and I think at this in a league setting, the fear of Sylvanas just having free push is definitely something that teams want to avoid. And Greymane with that dive, being able to prevent Sylvanas from escaping in time was a fantastic call. So Red Air Going to focus on the siege camp, being able to at least stun those out, take a little less damage there. But the rest of the team's having a hard time here in mid. Lightly Salted being able to push Spicy Boys back behind their gate.
Yeah, Hanzo has put out a lot of damage onto Agrosh. He's already tapped. He does not have a tap, and Ariel has no hope.
That's so... I wonder if that was intentional from Blizzard to be like, she has no hope. Like, it just sounds so depressing.
I see the Muradin pick now against the Garrosh. That's really nice, just hopping back over that wall, making sure that they don't get the free kill on you. Meanwhile, Sylvanas getting a tiny bit of value from the siege camp.
Yeah, a tiny bit there. I wonder if Red Air will choose to push down here during this tribute phase and try to keep the Grey Mane down there, since that is a lot of the engagement coming out from Lightly Salted. But with the tribute spawning up here, Resonance tried to go into the back line of Spicy Boys, but is getting really low. Stasis coming out for Sneezy to keep Dahaka alive just a little bit longer. The flip, though, from Wolfrain onto Absolute Yoda. There's some damage there, but not enough to secure the kill just yet. And finally, first kill of this fight, followed by 2 in a row. Sonya and Muradin, the front line here for Lightly Salted, gets eliminated, allowing their opponents to grab tribute number 1.
Hanzo finishing his W quest at the 3-minute and 40-second mark. He is going to be very strong.
Yeah, that is quite the time for completing that quest for sure. And Hanzo's, I mean, when they're good, they're really good, and they hurt. So Wafflecopter, there is a bit of a pressure on their shoulders to perform well with that Hanzo. Because if you're not, then you're not really adding too much value or providing a lot of that damage for your team. So it could be a bit of a tricky situation, but Wafflecopter seeming pretty comfortable being able to complete that quest in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, so for talents at 7 on Ariel, they did take Energized Cord, which I thought was slightly surprising, because at 7 you can take, oh, I'm blanking now. Whenever you take globes, the cost of the next hill is reduced. And that can be so strong, especially whenever your team isn't putting out that much damage for you to take advantage of.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know Ariel builds all that well, because usually I'm like very nervous that there's an Ariel on my team whatsoever. Resonance with a beautiful read onto Uso there, hiding in the bush. A scatter arrow coming out, damaging multiple members of Spicy Boys. The roots coming out from Deckard as well. Sylvanas is killed in the bot lane by that Grey Mane, while Muradin is traded here in top. Resonance trying to get a little bit more damage, but is stuck, ends up being flipped and murdered here. And this is a 4-for-2 currently up in this top lane. Grey Mane still focusing on pushing back bottom after the kill on Sylvanas. So this will be tribute number 2 going over to Spicy Boys. Lightly Salted conceding kind of these early tributes in order to, I would assume, try to get an experience advantage, but they're sitting at about half a level under their opponent.
For Slightly Salted, I wouldn't be worried too much, because you still have that turn on, and you know, level 16 is going to be really big for them. But right now what's going on is Tychus is just absolutely melting Sonya. He's absolutely melting Muradin. And they've got to figure out some way to deal with it, otherwise it's going to be more of the same.
And more of the same. Something, like you mentioned, going to have to change here. But Red Air not changing the focus on that camp, having additional giants here in the bottom to try to push back this lane just a bit. The tribute is spawning in favor of Spicy Boys, though, in the next tribute rotation. So given that they already have 2, I'm curious to see, and now that they have 10, how much Lightly Salted wants to commit to trying to stall out this tribute, or if they give it away for free.
I kind of hope that they can give it away for free. Early game, it's not going to hurt as bad as it does late game. However, there is the 10 advantage. They need to soak that. They've got to finish soaking 10 before the curse hits, and they're definitely going to. I like the decision that they've made.
Yeah, it's in. The whip coming out onto Resonance, stunned just for a little bit. Now the full rotation to try and see if they can capitalize on this tribute. Red Air starting the channel. Sneezy getting way into the members of Lightly Salted there. The stun's going out onto Muradin. The Scroll of Sealing locking in the members of Lightly Salted. Garrosh, though, going to be the first to fall here. And all resets. The drill from Tychus, not usually what we see though in favor of that Odin Tyro.
No, I like it for the zone control that it offers, but Slightly Salted dealing with it in the expected fashion, just letting it wear out and poking them, making sure they can't take that tribute. And in the end, drill ends, they leave Slightly Salted's tribute.
Yeah, so finally a tribute on the board for them. Giving them more time to alleviate some of the pressure that's been happening on the map so far. The flip went onto Delta. Sneezy, though, with that tongue into the fort, and Muradin is going to fall here. Sneezy with the clutch tongue.
Yeah, that was phenomenal. I like to see whenever you can interrupt that jump, because nothing is more infuriating than whenever you feel like you've got the kill on the Muradin and he just gets away.
Can you actually tongue Muradin while he's in the air? Now that I think about it. Woo! Well, this changes a lot of things. So great read there from Sneezy being able to get that kill. Muradin is up, but is still currently on the way. So the members of Lightly Salted have to do their best, I think, just to kind of poke at this tribute. Delson now arriving. The Lornado already used, though, so that is a tool they're not going to have in this fight. And here we go. Lots of damage coming out. The taunt coming out from Garrosh, followed up by the Crystal Aegis. Sylvanas going to fall first in this fight. Artanis on the retreat, trying to pump out damage while kiting, but going to fall. And that is 3 members of Spicy Boys. Make it 4, and can it be a 5th? The focus onto Sneezy, trying to confirm the kill, and this should be all they wrote. Arch Valley finishing the channel. We are now 2-2 here for tributes, and now all focus for Lightly Salted is on the boss.
So I have to give MVP to that fight to Waffle. He hit a 4-man arrow, getting stun on all 4 of them and pushing into that. And we just saw Garrosh just die almost instantly. Once the tank was dead, there was nowhere for Tychus to run.
And the value of that arrow tends to be, it's one of those heroic that definitely makes or breaks an initiation. So being able to land that, you can capitalize so much and really turn things around. But if you miss it, it's such a valuable resource that ends up going away. Sneezy, though, gets the tongue into Arch Valley, being able to flip out from dog form into that range damage in order to escape that. But good attempt by Sneezy to capitalize on knowing about that siege camp steal from their opponents. This tribute, though, Tyro, means a lot to both these teams.
Yeah, I really like what Slightly Salted has done. As soon as they took that boss, they went bottom. They stole the siege, knowing that Spicy Boys has to deal with it, and they go right in to take a boss. And they have 2 tributes collected already. This is going to be cursed on the back of a boss. This is about the best setup that they can have.
Yeah, they have the setup. We have to see if they can actually finish out. The drill coming out. Damage going on to Wafflecopter as the initial target, but it's already taken out. Taunt coming out from Garrosh onto Decker Kane, but no follow-up there to capitalize. Arch Valley deep in the weeds, ends up sprinting away. The Crystal Aegis going out onto that Garrosh, doing a little bit of damage. Delta's looking in a bit of a strange place, though, as he's separated from the rest of the team. Sylvanas, all these health bars are getting so low. Sylvanas falls, Garrosh falls, Sneezy falls next, and Lightly Salted, compared to the last series, are having quite the upper hand in a lot of these team fights.
I really like the position that they're in. That top fort is going to fall within just a few seconds. You're going to see this wave push out, and that top fort is gone. They just took the bottom fort. Greymane's pushing the middle. They are going to have such heavy map dominance. It's going to be very hard for Spicy Boys to kind of dig out of this ditch.
Yeah, and with the level 16 talent just arriving here for Lightly Salted as well, and simply one more advantage they've earned for themselves. This boss should fall momentarily. but the curse still has 36 seconds, and Lightly Salted knows they're going in to try to get this team fight. The Burrow coming out from Sneezy to avoid getting picked off there, but Resonance is attacking the backline here of Spicy Boys, gets the kill on Dahaka. Sylvanas again falling in the skirmish. Archvalley a bit far forward, backing up from there, but we still have a little bit of health on this boss, which won't do too much to the core. But Lightly Salted looking at this, keep looking at this advantage here. I don't think they end just yet, but they have set themselves up for a win condition here in the bottom lane.
Yeah, I feel like they may be overstaying their welcome right now. They do have that 4-level lead, but the fountain is right there. They need to back up, and they're doing it now. They're just going to go back. They're going to take camps, and they are going to bully their advantage.
Yeah, absolutely bully that. And I mean, for Red Air's credit on that Sylvanas, being able to quickly clear that wave and save that keep in the top, definitely getting value out of that disable mechanic that hero has. But during these team fights, it just seems like Red Air is getting caught out a lot, not maybe necessarily for being out of position, but just being the focus so hard for Lightly Salted, being able to take her out. So I'm trying to think, what are the tools that Spicy Boys have that could potentially keep her alive longer in these engagements?
So I wish she would have gone Arrow instead of Mind Control. However, because she did go Mind Control, she needs to stay out of the fight a little bit longer. Allow some of the dives like Cramming to go in. Allow Hanzo's ults to go off before engaging at Sylvanas. Otherwise, she's going to be cannon fodder.
Yeah, I think, you know, a lot of players who might opt into Mind Control, they want that immediate value, and so they want to try to find that target as soon as possible. And so sometimes they kind of get a nervous jump onto there, going far forward. Lightly Salted, though, the Dragon Arrow ends up missing as they try to gank, but it doesn't matter. Tychus is going to fall here. The Mind Control ends up going out onto Absolute Yoda, but the damage not there to follow up on that pitch. 3 members of Spicy Boys end up falling here. Eyes set now, potentially on another, potentially on core, as we have a camp following up what's left of this minion wave. The flip goes out, though, onto Archvalley, able to confirm the kill there. Garrosh proccing Warlord's challenge to try to buy a little bit of time, but ends up paying for it for his life. Focus near on the core, Tyro.
I do believe, unless they get the Tychus come back and win that fight. Okay, so Slightly Salted is backing out. I think this is the right call. Tychus is alive again. Dahaka's almost alive again. Backing up's the right call. They're going to go back. They're going to take a tribute. They're going to take camps. And I really don't see a way out. They're almost 20.
Yeah, they're almost 20, and at the very least, there still needs to be a little bit of flame under the fire of Lightly Salted, because Curse Point would have gone over to the members of Spicy Boys had they gotten that tribute, but that's not even on the minds of the team of Spicy Boys, as they simply have to keep defending all areas of the map. That top lane now prone to catapults as well as the bottom, making it quite the challenge for Sylvanas to have to keep up, push those lanes back, and make sure that at the same time she's not being focused upon and not being targeted out for doing that. This is a very scary boss call, though.
Okay, so the Hanzo Vision Arrow came out. As soon as it goes out, I want to see him back up. They did, but they're still caught in that boss. He's still doing damage to the members of Spicy Boys. This is not a good position.
Yeah, it's a hard position, but Decker can't end up falling to the damage coming out from that boss. It's going to finally proc. Ariel falling, though, from that split. Red Air able to zip out just a bit. Dahaka's going to fall as well. This fight is happening in so many places. Delta able to secure the kill on Tychus, while 3 members of Lightly Salted being able to secure the 5-man wipe. And surely this is going to be game. The health, the revival timer so high for Spicy Boys. Focus immediately on the core. The shields are finally gone, and that damage coming out from that Hanzo is chunking this away. Game number 1 going to Lightly Salted, being able to get out of the funk that they had in their first series of the evening and take a win in game 1.
I'm glad that they were able to recover mentally from that last series. That was surely demoralizing, losing as badly as they did in game number 2 to Archetype. To come back and then almost do the exact reverse. You see 23-8 here in the finals in the score screen. They played super, super well, and I really loved Wafflecopter playing that Hanzo. He had so much value the entire game.
Yeah, absolutely. And even though early game, I feel like Arch Valley had a lot of really excellent picks on that Greymane, the constant vision coming out from Hanzo, and like you had called out during the match, one of those dragon arrows just entirely setting up for a dominating team fight for Lightly Salted. So going into game number 2, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to a map we saw earlier today. We're going to Infernal Shrines, which was picked by Lightly Salted. So wondering what they learned, maybe how they're feeling from losing that game earlier tonight. Hoping to correct some of those mistakes, I would say, that we saw. That was the map where they did pick the Sergeant Hammer with Zagara. Do we think we're going to see something that crazy again, Tyro?
So in the coin flip, the other captain gave away a little bit of information and indicating that he was watching that stream. Now, this is expected in NGS, of course. You scout the teams that you're playing against. Knowing that the other captain just watched you play Zagara Hammer on this map, I really hope that they don't pick it.
Yeah, I mean, I think a 100% replicated draft would absolutely be, I don't want to say devastating, but definitely not the right call if you're Lightly Salted. But do you take out pieces of this? Do you keep the hammer? Do you keep the Zagara? I think is what I at least would be questioning if I were on the side of Spicy Boys going into this matchup. But there's so many things you can do on Infernal Shrines, to be honest. So we can see any amount of crazy picks coming out here from either team.
I feel like maybe you don't keep the Zagara, maybe you don't keep the hammer. But I do think, especially on this type of map, you bring the crazy right back out. You know, maybe you go that murky Phoenix with the Octograb Planet Cracker, which is always a great meme to watch.
Are we, is Murky a comfort pick for Spicy Boys? Or for Lightly Salted? Is that at all? Because there are people who love that Murky, and I know Spicy Boys have been kind of jabbing and goofing about what they plan on drafting for some of these matches tonight. But I haven't seen a Murky in some time. That would be a delight.
Yeah, so looking through the match history for Lightly Salted, I didn't see a Murky. I didn't see a Vikings or sadly even a Probius. But who knows? Maybe we'll see it.
I mean, apparently I did plague the thoughts of the members of Spicy Boys with my comment in chat earlier about Probius.
I kind of hope we see it. You know, Probe can actually have real value here. The Warp Rift explosions wiping out those shrine skeletons. Real value.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a Probius, not main, but play quite often myself, the other thing with Infernal Shrines too is that you have a very small set of corridors for teams to come in and engage through, and so they're usually very grouped. And so at level 1, if you are going into that Warp Resonance quest where hitting heroes with that warp end up empowering them over time, that's an easy way to stack that quest up, and so you can have a lot more impact on using those later into the game and delete the health bars on some particular squishy heroes that might come up.
Yeah, he's definitely got that. I would prefer to see the Murky. I like seeing the Bribe Tougherfish build, you know, just stealing the other team's camps when they least expect it. Not necessarily for the value, but to deny that value.
Yeah, the denial of Skeletal Defenders is in itself a really big component of this. So can you clear those from a distance so you don't necessarily have someone like Sonya, who has great clear, but she has to be in melee range, and so she's trying to be the one denying your opponents from those defenders. It's really easy to turn that around and kind of pounce on her and punish her for that type of positioning.
Back before the Chromie nerf, you used to be able to take the W quest with a cooldown, and you could actually win the race from outside of the shrine where they couldn't touch you. And I always thought that was the funniest thing ever, but sadly after the nerf, it's definitely not a thing.
Yeah, the poor Chromie nerf coming in. She hasn't been that oppressive for me in my games since then, which I'm very thankful for. We're just making sure teams are ready here before we get into game number 2. They're kind of having a little bit of a ball there. But let's get into it. Infernal Shrines, ladies and gentlemen. Do we see... So, first pick was from Lightly Salted last game, so they don't have it this time around. So I don't think we'll see that sneaky Asmodan first pick that we saw on Volskaya Foundry. But is it still ban-worthy here, given that he can get a lot of value on a map like Infernal Shrines?
Just considering the history of the team, I do think they are going to outright ban the Asmo. Possibly also see a Garrosh pick. Garrosh did get quite a bit of value there, as did Tychus. So if we do see a respect ban, I do expect Garrosh or Tychus to be that respect ban. Overall, I do think they're going to continue banning the meta. They're going to ban Yrel. They're going to ban Asmodan.
Ooh, interesting. We're actually having it banned out by Spicy Bois, so not wanting to deal with that. And the Rainer ban immediately from Slightly Salted. I don't really see Hyperion used too much anymore in favor of Rainer's Raider. But a map like Infernal Shrines, where, again, you do have everyone kind of collected in a condensed area, potentially some value there, but we shall not see that today, as Spicy Bois is now considering their second ban. Respect.
Yeah, I'm feeling the respect oozing from that ban. Hanzo definitely had just so much value in that last one. Telling Waffle that he's not going to be playing it again, I get that. And Hanzo can be a real pain on this map, just showing his W into that shrine, stealing all of... And we dropped.
It looks like we dropped here. Looks like we lost a player from Lightly Salted to that, so we'll just have to wait for them to reconnect, rejoin this lobby in a bit. So it looks like a crash. Okay. So I think we might have a couple minutes here before we actually have this ready to go. I need to update the scores anyway, so let me do that real fast. Done. So
emphasis on real fast.
Yeah, emphasis on real fast. So it looks like we might need a couple minutes for this computer crash to be resolved. So we are going to take a quick break. So bear with us as we allow for that to reset, and we will be back once the lobby has been readied again. So we'll see you in a few minutes. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We have had our computer issues solved. We have our player back into the game, so we are going to restart this draft. And we will make sure that bans are retained from the last time around, so no one's switching things up too much. So let's get this show, for the second time, on the road here. Infernal Shrines. We know we're getting a Rainer ban. We know we're getting Azmodan and Hanzo out of the picture here. So it's really about what that second ban for Lightly Salted is going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if they stuck with the Urel coming into this game.
Yeah, my money's on the Urel, but I kind of would like to see maybe that Tychus ban, because I do feel like Spicy Boys did see some success, and they did just absolutely kill Murden and Sonya with it, so maybe Slightly Salted bans it out of that respect.
Yeah, it'd be a very interesting one. I don't know if it's necessarily a band that, or a pick that Spicy Boys would pick up so early, but potentially coming out in the what?
Oh, that's a disrespect ban is what that is.
Disrespecting the casters in your bands?
Oh, feels bad.
Feels so bad. So bad. I can't. Us coming in for Spicy Boys. I can't believe they banned my Proteus on me. Oh, that's a new one. Lightly Salted, you're on my watch list, alright? Don't appreciate the BM here in this wholesome game of Heroes of the Storm.
So I like that Spicy Boys takes a page out of the playbook from Archetype in that first pick Kel'Thas. However, in the interview, they did say that it was a very high comfort pick, that they really wanted the Kel'Thas. And then Spicy Boy, or Lightly Salted, turns around and says, well, we're going to pick Genji, who counters Kel'Thas. And we're going to pick Deckard, who doesn't have to group up for that heal and get that living bomb. So we're going to see your Kel'Thas, and we think we can deal with it this time. And then they turn around and ban Johanna.
Yeah, they banned that Johanna. The Lurking Arm from Stukov is always one of those really valuable, I think, abilities that, depending on how the Stukov player is really landing them, really makes for how the team fight is going to play out. So perhaps not so much on the Genji, but if you can somehow land the Lurking Arm on a Genji and be able to prevent that kind of dive, that's going to be absolute fire, I think, for Spicy Boys if they can actually pull it off. But the likelihood of them doing that simply from mobility is pretty low. We have the Greymane reprise, and we're going to have Diablo as the warrior choice for Lightly Salted.
I saw that skin change. they changed that illegal skin. I'm kind of surprised overall from the Falstead, honestly. Maybe we see the lightning or the beam come from him instead of the gust, because the last thing you want to do is be gusting opponents into a Kel'Thas.
Tyro.
Yeah.
We have a Zarya.
We love Zarya. Zarya is an excellent hero.
I love Zarya. A lot of people flame me for wanting to play her, and then I don't get to play her, and then we lose, and I tell them, had we picked the Zarya, it would have been fine. Good protection for those dives from Greymane, from Genji. I'm wondering, though, if the members of Lightly Salted would be so easy to fuel that energy cost. So I'm wondering, you know, the placement of those shields is going to be really critical if that Zarya is going to have an impact here.
So Zarya needs to be careful, because for the side of Lightly Salted, we have 3 dives. Greymane, Genji, Diablo, Sonya. And the shield only actually soaks so much. And so if they all dive Zarya, she can die before she has any impact at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the cooldown is relatively expensive. Not the most expensive, but it takes a while for those shields to come back up. And once she can't shield herself or one of her teammates, she has to back up incredibly and simply only has those grenades, can't even really auto attack with that laser cannon. So I think being able to force Zarya to not feel comfortable, to use those shields early and then turn it around and really focus on her might prove some success for Lightly Salted going into this match. Man, I have no like wrap up words there. I'm just so excited to see how it plays out.
I like the commitment from Slightly Salted to play this dive, whereas in the last time that we saw this map, they went with that hammer, the Joanna, and the Zagura, who all by nature want to stay really far away from their opponents. So this is a total turnaround from what we saw in the last series, and I'm excited to see how they execute.
Yeah, and Lightly Salted going to see if they can take a 2-0 against Spicy Boys. In the blue, we're going to have Delta on Diablo, Arch Valley on Greymane, Absolute Yoda on Decker Kane, Resonance on Sonya, and Genji will be played by Wafflecopter.
For Spicy Boys, we have a Nubarek on Wolfrain, Sneezy on Stukov, Artanis on Zarya, Red Air on Kelthos, and Usatst on Falstad.
The immediate initial brawling here in the mid, which, you know, it's about establishing that map presence. The fly coming out, though, from Uso to come respond to Resonance pushing here in the bottom lane. Having that range against that Sonya, I think is going to be really great for the Falstad and making sure she can't push so hard into that lane, but the bird, kind of slow and kind of soft, so making sure that they don't get caught out of position and that the team is accurately communicating rotations, I think is going to be really important for keeping Falstad alive.
Yeah, absolutely. We just saw the Genji go on the Falstad, and just that one gank where Sonya didn't even participate, got rid of half of his health. If we see a lot of rotation from Genji this game, he's going to have a lot of value. So keeping that communication line open, like you said, is going to be extremely important for Spicy Boys.
Yeah, and both teams still just soaking here, waiting to get that level 4 before they can really start thinking about what else they want to do here on this map. Arch Valley having no problem here in the top. The rotation is going to change up here with Falstad coming up to deal with the Puppy Dog Policeman up there. The rest of the teams, just for now, brawling, staying even in experience, preparing for what will come when the shrines do spawn down here. So expect to see camps taking very soon as Resonance starts on their siege, waiting for the follow-up from Spicy Boys on their own, though.
Something I'm liking out of this game so far is the priority given to soaking the waves. Seems like a little known fact in at least my division is that one wave is more experience than a hero kill until level 6. So soaking those waves is of utmost importance.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, I think it's like a kill at level 1 is worth a total of 3 minions, which is always why for me, the focus on the death ball in mid at the beginning of the game never really made sense. And I understand wanting to try to get those early picks just to, you know, shake up your opponent a little bit, get that mental advantage, but the value isn't there. But there might be value here in some kills if Lightly Salted keep pushing onto the siege camp. It's available. Absolute Yoda coming out, but the burrow from a Nubarak making sure the siege camp is secure. The fly-in from Uso converting what's going to be 3, maybe 4 kills if they can get Absolute Yoda, but the old man keeps living here. 3 dying for that camp, Tyro.
And it couldn't have come at a worse time. This is going to be a free Immortal or free Punisher for Spicy Boys. So Greymane's doing the right thing, just staying in lane, soaking, trying to gather up that experience, while the rest of the team gears up to defend.
Yeah, gearing up to defend. This is still a pretty early game Punisher, so it's not going to be the worst thing to have to defend against. And with that Sonya and with the damage from Greymane, should be able to clear it out very quickly on the side of Lightly Salted. But they so far have kept up in experience even with those few kills, so let's see if they can keep it up here as the defense begins against this Frozen Punisher.
Excellent pull over the wall. It's going to be very easy to melt before Spicy Boys can get in there to do any damage.
Yeah, the bait's super important. We did see, I believe it was Arch Valley on the hammer, try to do that pull as the Sergeant Hammer, which is not necessarily the actual tank that you want taking all that damage to the face. But getting the Punisher over, making sure the tower is helping eliminate it as soon as possible, helps with that clear, helps you return to the pace of the game, and allows Lightly Salted to focus on pushing these lanes now, which Resonance is very close to this gate. I wouldn't be surprised to see Spicy Boy send Falstad, and there he goes, flying up to see if he can poke Resonance out of there.
So something interesting that Slightly Salted did is moving Zarya up as soon as that Punisher was taken. Spicy Boy's 5-man commits to this wall. They take the wall basically for free, but their experience advantage is kind of non-existent because Sonya was able to clear out those minions and take a tower of her own.
Yeah, always can never discount the sneaky Sonya getting that experience wherever she may roam. But Uso being able to push her back just a bit. Waffle Copper coming in. Can they get the collapse onto Uso? Not exactly yet, but Uso going close to back in, even with a lot of health missing. The spear coming out from Resonance, but Wolferin is here for the Burrow to peel for that Falstad in what could have been another kill for Lightly Salted. Oh, but okay. I wasn't sure if Resonance would commit there, try to get that kill, but not worth going in too deep into your enemy's territory.
Lightly Salted is playing this very well. They now have their own wall top, and they're leading in experience to a team that got the first Punisher. So, despite having that poor fight and that camp going the way of Spicy Boys, they're doing exceptional.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things where if you're Spicy Boys, you can't think about that too much because you might have been hoping for so much more out of that early Punisher. But now that you know that you're able to get that advantage, get those Punishers, focusing on those late game Punishers that are going to bring a lot more experience than just the walls. Back in the day when the experience distribution was a bit different, you would get a lot more of a lead from those early Punishers. But now that some of that experience has been shifted from the gate and those towers to the fort itself, we see it less often. So that first one being really preparatory for Spicy Boys rather than the snowball that they can potentially get if they can secure a second.
Not surprising, seeing both teams prioritize clearing of the siege camp. Slightly Salted beats Spicy Boys to it, and are they wanting to engage? They are. Sonya goes in, Diablo goes in, Deckard is cocooned. There's a leap from Sonya. The Zarya Graviton. Oh! Big combo from Falstad Zarya, but it will be Spicy Boys losing heroes as both Anubrek and Stukov and then Kelthos and Falstad go down.
A 4-person kill for Lightly Salted. I was worried about that Hinterlands blast from Falstad though. I thought that would have garnered a bit more kill securing, I suppose. But the amazing turnaround, the great lightning breath coming out from Delta, being able to take control of that situation and now have this 1-level lead over the opponents, starting on the work on these skeletal defenders as well, puts them in a really great position. But the members of Spicy Boys coming back up, clearing the wave, they know they can go in, and they have to go in before their opponents get 13. Cocoon goes out onto Genji, so the damage is not there. The Graviton Surge landing onto 2. The Hinterlands Blast follow-up, but Wafflecopter is on fire, taking a lot of damage, trying not to spread that living bomb. And Spicy Boys are able to push off the members of Lightly Salted from the shrine for the time being.
Yeah, Sonya needs to make her way top again. Slightly Salted is definitely at a disadvantage right now. And if she doesn't make her way top, they're going to lose another Punisher.
Yeah, potentially lose another Punisher, and Sonya being here might be the swing that this team fight needs for Lightly Salted. Arch Valley trying to go in onto Wolfrain, and the charge and the follow-up taking out that new Barak. Falstead follows. Zarya also following. Lightly Salted pushing as far as they can. Meet the fort, decide to back away, and they already have 24 skeletal defenders. They're gonna finish this out. They're gonna keep pushing that top lane, and they have 13. Spicy Boys at a bit of a standstill, having to wait to see what their opponents opt to do before making any decisions for themselves, other than knowing that they need to defend this fort, which will likely fall in the next couple seconds.
Yeah, Lightly Salted definitely turning things around from the last series, like we talked about, showing that dominant nature of holding that number 2 spot and trying to push up. And I believe if they go 2-0 here, they will be tied with the number 1 spot.
Yeah, and I definitely know that in the Discord, Off-Brand Serial was hoping to see great performance, but right now, Graviton Surge going out onto the members of Lightly Salted. Wolfram getting really low, had to back away, which is leaving Sneezy all alone. The shields from Zarya buy them a bit of time and just able to sneak past the gate. Sneezy able to survive. The fort, though, ends up falling. This Punisher heading toward this keep gate, still about halfway healthy as well. Wolfram able to proc the jump over the gates to get the keep to help out with that damage, but they still don't have 13. Spicy Boys are going to clear this out, but they're going to have to be careful not to engage too hard in the defense.
I like the call here. Lightly Salted just backing up, going to soak the lanes, take the camps, macro it up. They already took a keep wall. That's great value from the Punisher, and they're performing well.
Yeah, performing well, I think is a little bit of an understatement with a 2-level lead over their opponents in game number 2 after playing 3 games already. So perhaps they just needed a little bit of a warm-up after that first series to get things in, but Resonance going in, the Graviton Surge there again, followed up by the Hinterland's Blast, but not getting the damage that Spicy Boys are really looking for. A lot of damage going onto Delta, though, making the rotation back around to join the rest of the team. Focus right now is onto Wolfrain. The shield is going to eat up that damage for the time being, though, so a lot of fireworks for not a lot of bloodshed here.
Yeah, I like the combo with the Graviton and the Blast. However, the Blast just doesn't offer enough damage. Maybe if they would have had like a Phoenix with that Planet Cracker, things would be a little bit different, but as it stands now, they can't put out the damage to actually take the kills against Slightly Salted.
Yeah, the Phoenix would have been interesting, especially with the, well, on the side of their opponents, they have the Diablo, so not able to utilize the Lightning Breath if that had been the pick. But yeah, Falstad is spending so much time in this rotation, and given that they have to be afraid of the gank from Genji, can't necessarily do the split lane soak that I think a lot of Falstads really desire to do in that role.
Yeah, and I mean right now they're rotating as a 5-man just to make sure that they don't get picked. And Greymane is off soaking by himself, and that level lead is just widening.
Falstad going to respond to that wave push in the top, try to push that back just a little bit. There aren't catapults yet, but there is a leap coming out from Sonya onto the members of Spicy Boys. The Graviton Surge doesn't catch anyone, and Sneezy getting low. Sukov is going to fall here. The response from Falstad is finally here. The Pyroblast going out onto Resonance. I don't think that confirms it. It does confirm the kill. Pyroblast value, while Delta getting that living bomb. Arch Valley ends up with it as well. Greymane going to fall in a great couple fix. Red Air will fall during this engagement as well, and it ends up being a 2-for-2 trade for these teams. But Spicy Boys trying to go back in, trying to secure the kill onto Wafflecopter, and they get it, getting them that much closer to level 16 here. That fight definitely swayed back and forth a lot there, but finally getting the upper hand for Spicy Boys.
If I am not mistaken, I think that actually ended up being a 4-for-2 with Genji falling at the end and Diablo losing all of his souls.
Oh, you are correct. Diablo falls the immediate respawn, but you are right. We no longer have a tanky Diablo to go in on these engagements. So that's going to set Lightly Salted back quite a bit going forward into this game.
Yeah, that's about as good of a play as you could have hoped for from Spicy Boys. Excellent engagement. Maybe a little bit out of place by Sonya. I think she took quite a few tower shots. But all in all, this is a free Punisher for Spicy Boys and a lane that they've already pushed.
Yeah, a lane that they've already pushed, and it's the Arcane Punisher, which is the strongest of the three. You can get those lasers that spawn all over the battleground. Very hard to avoid and dish out a lot of damage before it's going to fall. This Punisher is pretty far forward, though, so members of Spicy Boys coming in, and I'm wondering how much they're actually going to get out of this push once it's over.
It's a good Punisher pull. They need to be pulling it in between the towers or to a different keep, but they're unable to do so, and the Punisher moves on to the keep.
Yeah, Punisher's on the keep, but it's getting fairly low, so should fall in just a second. And Spicy Boys, they have to be careful not to get too eager. They hit 16 finally. The Pyro Blast going out, doing a lot of damage onto Absolute Yoda. The kill's not there, but they do get the keep. And the retreat is on for Spicy Boys, getting exactly everything they could have out of that lane. I'm glad that they didn't try to force a team fight, but Resonance, the sneaky bruiser camp steal in the time being, adding to this top lane push that was going on the entire time during that Punisher.
There'll be a little bit of value out of this. They might get a well, but I wish that Sonya had been at the fight. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they actually get most of this keep.
Yeah, Falsta's having a hard time cleaning it up by himself, and with another wave immediately falling, Red Air going to come help. So not exactly a keep just yet, but a lot of a keep. And with the shrine spawning in the top lane during the next phase, that is going to be primed for a Punisher to come in and finish it off.
Absolutely. This is about as good as what Slightly Salted could have hoped for, this shrine location spawn. If they can find 20 before the shrine pops, I say that, but looks like Spicy Boys wants a fight. They cocoon the Greymane. He's silenced. He is stunned. He may be dead, and dead he is.
Yeah, dead he is. The Graviton Surge being able to pull the front line of Lightly Salted back just a bit, while the members of Spicy Boys back up and heal. They have a couple more, 2 more of these camp minions following up behind, dishing out the damage, but a beautiful stun coming out from Lightly Salted and forcing the retreat onto Spicy Boys. Delta with the flip, the flailing swipe coming out from CZ, trying to make room for that retreat, but Wafflecopter is dancing all over the members of Spicy Boys. Falstad's gonna fall. The Pyroblast goes on to Absolute Yoda, barely surviving. The Tornado goes out just to make sure that they survive. Wafflecopter also so low. But this looks like Resonance is finally going to fall thanks to that lurking arm. And now sights are set onto Diablo. Delta getting the Living Bomb, having to back up. The Gravity Well coming out twice from Red Air, but not able to secure that kill necessarily. But still a fantastic fight for Spicy Boys, even though they did lose out on that Falstad.
Shrine spawning at about 30 seconds. This is a perilous situation for Slightly Salted. We have 3 catapults pushing bottom. Those have to be taken care of. You have to clear the siege mid. Spicy Boys can get a lot of value before they're able to respond to this.
Yeah, they were able to get the quick rotation. The camp was cleared out pretty quickly from Lightly Salted, however. So quick clear there. The catapults, as you mentioned, going in on the bottom. So someone will have to respond to that. Likely Sonya once she is back alive. So for the time being, Spicy Boys able to start collecting these skeletal defenders, poke out the damage on the side of their opponents, force them to back up, knowing, or it looks like Sonya's actually going to come up here
Yeah,
It ends up rotating down. Okay.
Points.
I got nervous there. Sonya rotating up, goes away, knowing that that shield is going to fall to that wave. And I'm not sure there's much Lightly Salted can do in this situation other than hope for possibly exactly that. Wolfram going too far forward. But they end up losing Decker Kane before they can get the kill onto Wolfram. The Greymane falls right after. I thought that was going to be a pick for Lightly Salted, but it ended up being way too eager of an engagement.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of a silver lining for Lightly Salted in this, in that they have a full health fort here. So it's unlikely that this Punisher is going to threaten the game, but they really need to be careful going forward. And they cannot afford to take deaths here.
Oh, the leap coming out from Sonya with that Crater as well secures the kill onto Falstad. This Punisher now making its way. We have another Frozen Punisher coming out for Spicy Boys with no gate as well, so damage immediately onto the fort once it's done being baited by that Diablo. And Nubarak finally returning. Genji on the bottom helping to clear a little bit there. And this Punisher still barreling, getting to get so much value, but with level 20s, there's no more talent, so this is going, I think, to be huge if Spicy Boys can get a pick and possibly end the game here.
Yeah, so this is, oh no, Greymane in a bad position, but Sonya going in. Genji going in, Lornado coming out. This is not a bad fight.
Not bad, but is Sneezy going to survive is the thing. The Flailing Swites did come out, has a little bit of shielding from that Zarya still, but Delta going in, not able to take out the support for Spicy Boys. Lightning Breath going out, the Lurking Arm prepared to silence right as soon as Lightning Breath is over. Decker Kane is going to fall, however, Red Air is on the run, gets a little bit of healing from Stukov, but this whole time, this Punisher here has been wailing away at this keep for Lightly Salted, able to keep it alive for the time being, but that was a pretty worthwhile push for Spicy Boys. That keep so incredibly low. Lightly Salted going to have to defend that with their lives to not have to deal with pressure coming from both lanes with catapults.
Yeah, feels bad for Deckard though. I mean, dodged a lot of skill shots on his way back, trying to survive, and then gets Punisher jumped at the very end of it. Little bit of a preemptive leap from Sonya there.
Yeah, the leap almost resulted in so much bloodshed for Lightly Salted, but just not enough. But being trapped in there, I'm sure Spicy Boys were sweating bullets a little bit, knowing that they were stuck in there with the Sonya and knew that Greymane wasn't too far behind. But they were able to turn it around and are now painting this map red. Lanes are pushed out. They are stealing camps from their opponents. They are absolutely commanding this game number 2 here. As they
this keep is gone.
This keep is absolutely gone with this push. And there it goes. Do they want to push more is the question. They're posturing a little bit for it. The leap goes in, doesn't catch anyone, but Anubarak actually ends up burrowing right into it. Graviton Surge going out. The kill is confirmed with the Hinterlands Blast from that Falstad. And this fight now moving back, but there is camp pressure on the core.
And Deckard going to, no, Deckard will survive. Sonya, they're just trying to keep this fight going, trying to keep Lightly Salted distracted from what's happening at home base. And Greymane falls.
Yeah, Greymane going to fall. The camp's mostly cleaned out by the core though, so not necessarily the distraction I think Spicy Boys entirely wanted, but Wolfram going in onto Delta, trying to prevent any more anything else from coming between them and this core, which is already at half health. The Pyroblast goes out, Decker Kane falls, and this game number 2 is going to go over to Spicy Boys, who tie up this game 1-1, Tyro.
Yeah, excellent showing from Slightly Salted, but Spicy Boys making the comeback after losing most of the early fights. I'm surprised and entertained.
Yeah, I mean, I will commend both teams because a lot of those team fights were seemingly going one way and then kind of very quickly turn around and go another. And so being able, I think, for both teams to be patient, allow those fights to play out a bit until they found a way to turn around in their favor. The kill score here is far more even, I believe, than it was last game. Double digits for both teams, and the damage that came out from that Kael'thas, though, red air, a couple of those pyroblasts converting into kills, so great coordination there all around. Yeah.
Who would you give MVP to this match?
Ooh, this match. Let's see. That is hard to actually say. I think late game, and we kind of talked about it a little bit, the damage coming out from Falstad with that Hinterland's Blast combo, not necessarily landing earlier, but there were two situations in that late game where that combination absolutely destroyed Lightly Salted, so I kind of want to give it to Falstad, but I'm also maybe going to give it to Red Air, because in both these games, absolutely played phenomenally. And if you're able to get a kill on Pyroblast and not focus, you know, the tanks in the scenario, you always get an A+ in my book. But it looks like we have Sneezy Dinosaur over in Lobby 1 for our interview. So let's hop over there and get their thoughts on what just happened in that series.
All right.
Congratulations on your win. How are you feeling after that?
I think all of us, like, our hearts pumping. We, right in the beginning there at the first or second shrine, right when we had ults, we kind of, a bunch of us said GG. I don't know if you guys noticed, but there was the first combo we tried to do with the Zarya ult, we landed a Pyroblast on Deckard, and it did no damage for some reason. There was another ult that we had that did no damage in that combo as well. So, you know, bug testing Blizzard's game for him. But once we got past that, that was a tough game. Lightly Salted, good job to them. That was the only reason we won is because we were able to push bottom keep in. If we didn't get that in, that wouldn't have created the pressure we needed to get the objectives.
Yeah, you definitely did a great job in coordinating that macro pressure and really distracting them at other points in the field. And at one point, actually, when you're getting that top shrine, Sonya Resonance was running to top to help with that, and then we immediately saw the turnaround to be like, actually, there's all this camp pressure in the bottom lane I can't ignore. So definitely confusing your enemies, I think, a bit and keeping them on their toes in that game. But let's talk about your Ariel in game number 1. Because I think we were asking, out of all the supports, why Ariel?
So in our team, we have myself, Sneezy, and then we have Wolfrain, and we are the tanks and supports. We can play pretty much it. Between the two of us, we can cover every tank and support. Our Tannis covers like most of the heroes, and then US ODST, he's kind of our flight. Like we don't have just like a backup player for when someone's gone. He's still part of the team, so we get him in games too, but the problem is he has a much more limited pool of heroes you can play, and we wanted to do that comp, right? We had kind of played around with it and it worked for us in the past, and we figured we could get it to work again. And he's a good Ariel player, but the main problem with that is, you know, as you know with Ariel, if you don't have that constant support of damage, then she can't heal. Which I mean, it worked in the beginning when we were getting the picks on the first objective, right? When the Sonya was kind of diving in and we were able to keep them off them. But once we got ults, they were able to kind of get into our back line, and if we didn't dive into them, they would outpoke us, and if they dived into us, they would just kind of beat up our healer and our damage.
Yeah, absolutely. But you turned it around in game number 2, so at least you evened up the scores tonight. Do you
We are our team, so we've dominated one match. And in round 1, we dominated one team. We got dominated by one team, and then we won to another team 50-50. And since we have won one, lost one against every team. we are perfectly balanced as all things.
You are the most perfectly balanced. You are the absolute middle of the teams here being able to win and lose evenly, which is, I mean, it's better than losing more often than winning. So I would say
as a team, I think we're more balanced than most of the heroes in this game.
jokes. Tyro, do you have any questions?
Yeah, so coming off of game 1, Cursed Hollow, them winning, going really a dominant performance over you guys. How did you readjust to come back and win game number 2?
So, we kind of plan what we're gonna do before we get into the games, right? Lightly Salted has been a harder team for us to prepare for, and it's something we've actually kind of been complaining about a little bit. All but one of our games have been casted, which means if you do research on the other teams, we are one of the easier teams to do research on, right? So we have a Cho'Gall main on our team. We get Cho bans a lot because we've dominated with Cho'Gall, right? Artanis plays a mean Artanis. He plays a mean Alarak. He gets a lot of respect bans from targeted bans from people doing research on us. So we kind of have to decide before we do the game what we're gonna play, so that when we go into that game, we try and play around what we think they're gonna ban and what we think they're gonna have. I will say, since it was harder to do research on what they were doing for this team comp, we expected the Lucio both games.
Same.
Because in round one they had played exclusively Lucio, and then we watched their last game right before ours, and they had also played exclusively Lucio. So we kind of planned around how to deal with that healer, because he's a good healer, but he has a lot of trouble with burst damage and with AoE damage surrounded on him. Especially, perfect example is Living Bomb, because you have to get near the healer and then you can't cast that. So we built 2 team comps, one for kind of a miscellaneous map and then one for Cursed Hollow. And that's the Cursed Hollow. It was more or less a split push, right? Because we had the Sylvanas just doing whatever she could down on the bottom and then coming up for the team fights. But it doesn't always work out the way you plan. Sometimes they just kind of outdraft you. We ended up picking up that Tychus, which we think that was kind of the bad choice in there, because suddenly we couldn't fight more than 10 feet away from them. But you win some, you lose some. You learn a little bit about what you did bad, and you recover next time, right?
That is the lesson that everyone strives to learn, for sure. And so I think we all learned something today, wouldn't you say? We learned that Lightly Salted, not afraid to ban Probius.
Yeah. So I don't want to say this because I don't want to see Probius bans in the future games, but like, I have had one of the guys on our team does really like playing Probius, and he's a good Probius. So we're just trying to find the right spot for him to do that.
Soon, TM.
I'll make no promises. I'll make no guarantees. Hey man, half the fun of this is scouting your enemy teams. I'm not gonna tell people what we're gonna do.
Hey, there you go. Don't want to give away his secrets too early.
We enjoy Probius. I think the only hero that we do not enjoy playing is Gazlo. But we're not too worried about that.
Not too worried about that. So no Gazlos, maybe a Probius. What a bombshell to end on, Sneezy. Thanks for joining us. And actually, before we let you go, we will give the floor to you for any shout-outs you might have.
So I got 2 shout-outs. One of them's from my players. He had to run off with some friends right when the games ended, so I'm going to say for him. And I got mine. Mine is, hi, Dad. Hey, Pops. How's it going?
Hi, Daddy-o.
And then my player really wanted me to say, "Ha, take that, you commies."
Whoa!
It's a real rough batch to him, right? But he made me say it. So,
them's fighting words.
They are fighting. We did fight
with our words in our fists.
Yeah.
And
also,
our buttons.
I want to say that Sonya. I don't remember who was playing the Sonya. Oh, great job. Fantastic Sonya play. You got a little thirsty there at the end for me, and I think that kind of did it in for you, but you did a fantastic job of Sonya.
Yeah, that was Residents playing that Sonya, so give those shoutouts in the Discord. I would say let's give the players some love. Absolutely. But we will let you go enjoy the rest of your evening. So congratulations again, and we can't wait to see how you do in the rest of the season.
All right. Thank you very much.
Have a good one. And Tyro, this wraps it up for us after this doubleheader, which I am exhausted for sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely tired, but that was a lot of fun. There was some good play, and I'm glad to see a lot of slightly salted and some play from other good teams.
Yeah, Div D delivering tonight for sure. And actually, before we go, I just need to shout out a couple things. So, for everyone who follows tonight, thank you very much for Fringe for the 96-bit donation. Thank you. And On Thought with the raid earlier. Thank you so much. We hope that you and your friends enjoyed the games that NGS brought to you tonight. Before we go, Tyro, I'm going to give the floor to you for a bit since you are brand new here to the NGS. So for folks who don't know you, what do you want to let them know?
Well, I'm formerly from a different community, but moving over and playing some games on NGS with my team. We're enjoying Division E, where we belong. And really hope to see a lot more casting time.
Yeah, and if you ever want to hop over back here, you have a place. But keep an eye out for Tyro for sure and other casts coming up for NGS. We have some more games coming up this weekend, so if you're not traveling for the long weekend, make sure you stop by and say hello and see what these teams are doing. But for now, and also don't go away because I am totally going to raid over someone else in a different league that I know. You might have seen me casting a little thing called Bush League. I'm going to host one of our casters, Goon, who also happens to be the coach of No Tomorrow from HGC. So go say hi to him, tell him I said hello, ask him when he's playing Probius or something like that. And we hope to see you again soon. Thanks everyone for the support and for tuning in to the Nexus Gaming series, and we will see you next time. Thanks.